Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today we're doing a Switch video. It's been a while, but we're going to go into doing the HMX Snowfall. Now, this is the original Switch from KTECHS that they did. They wanted to do a newer version of the specific Switch with a specific tactile bump, and they sent this out to me. They wanted me to check this out, so I'm really curious what the Switch is like, and of course, how it feels like, how it sounds. I heard this is like a Type R, but really clacky. I tried the Hydras, and that's what I thought originally was more like the Type Rs, but a lot of people say this is supposed to be it. So let's go into seeing what the Switch is like, hear the sound test, and of course, my review with it in the spreadsheet. So let's get into this, but please make sure to like and subscribe. Now introducing the HMX Snowfall. This is a special Switch that was actually done by KTECH and designed by them, and I'm actually interested in this one because it's going to be a very short travel with supposedly a much nicer clack to it. So let's hear it in all the different configurations that I have. Now, the first thing I've noticed with this Switch is that yes, its travel is very, very short, and honestly, I don't mind it. You also can see here that it has this really nice glitter on the top. It reminds you of like a snowfall, and I think that's a very nice design aspect that they added. I'd be very curious though if they would do a different version of this specific Switch with the mold, but with a different top housing. I think that would be really cool to have with the Switch, which might brighten up the sound and really provide something different. Now, overall, I did like how the Switch felt because of the fact that it had a really nice strong tactile bump, and it does feel kind of like the Type R Switches, which really provides you like that really nice bump and short travel. Now, as you can see here, it does have 3mm travel, which is what they were saying. I think I really do like how this travel feels because of the fact that you get a really nice bump and it just ends at the bottom, and then you can press it more and more, and it just has that really solid sound to it. Now, one of the things that we're going to measure here is going to be each little part. So we're going to check out the bottom housing first, and the bottom housing, as you will see, the leaf spring is going to be actually looped. Now, the leaf contact point on HMX switches as well as KeyGeek switches, you will actually see the looping on there, and this really helps with the whole leaf spring scratch sound, which is really nice that it does this. Plus, it actually provides, I think, some help with the smoothness. Overall, these switches you never need to really hand lube them. They're very, very smooth, which is what I really appreciate. And I feel like more switches nowadays is just moving towards that aspect. Now, in terms of the spring, I do also like the fact that it is a long spring. So one of the things I do prefer in terms of my switches is a longer spring, and you can see here that it's 22 millimeters. I would love to see longer springs even and have them with like triple stage. I think that would be something cool to see in the future. Now in terms of the stem, so the stem itself, you can see it's a long pole, and you can see that the pole is actually even longer than the other usual long pole switches that you might see. Now in terms of the stock lubing, it might be a little bit hard to see on my camera just because of the color of the stem itself. It is white, so it really doesn't show up a lot, but you will see on the edges there is going to be a slight lubing. So what I mean by slight, it means like very, very minimal, and I really do appreciate the way that they do it. It does help with the lubing, it helps with the smoothness, and I feel like you don't actually have to hand lube any of the HMX switches because they do that nicely. Even with the contact points on the stem itself, you can see that there is a little bit of lubing that really helps with this whole feel. So this is something I really do appreciate with HMX, and I think overall I would love to see even more of these types of switches come out. Now in terms of the decibel test, so we're going to see how loud the switch can be, and overall these HMX snowfalls are not the quietest switches. So if you are someone who likes to run a custom board with, you know, alu plate and foamless, it's going to be pretty loud. You can see here with the Evo 75 and with the foaming, it's going to come up to about 65 decibels, 64 decibels on average, and it is going to be decently loud. That is very similar to like many people talking around you. Now in terms of the feel of the switch itself, you are going to get a very nice tactile bump. It's going to be a very prominent bump. And in terms of the feel of the switch itself, it doesn't feel too heavy. It is supposed to be 50 grams, but it's actually going to feel quite light after the bump, and you will see how it moves. And even on the bottoming out, it feels like there's a little bit of movement that's still available. Now in terms of the rattle on the top, so on the top side you're getting very, very little movement, which is great, so very little rattle. And then once the switch does get pressed down, you're going to get a little bit of that stem wobble, not a ton, mostly vertical and very little horizontal. And even with the keycap movement, you can see there it's mostly the keycap movement and not the stem wobble itself. Now in terms of the backlighting, you are going to get very accurate backlighting because of the transparent top, but it's not going to be very bright. You can even see it here compared to the KeyGeek Rise switches. It doesn't seem as bright as them in terms of the backlighting, even at the same brightness. Now in terms of my spreadsheet here, you can see where the HMX snowfall falls. It is 320 Hertz is my anchor point, and that's because in general switches have multiple tones to them and multiple pitches. I just find an anchor point that I use. So keep in mind that this spreadsheet is not the most accurate thing ever, right? It's something that I personally use to just kind of guess where things are going to be and be able to see with my own eyes where a switch lands, and hopefully help you guys also see where a switch might land so you can choose and see and pick specific switches that you're looking for with the spreadsheet, which is available on my Discord. So go into the link in the description and you can grab it. I would say it's very similar to the Type 1 feel, but it's going to have a higher pitch. It's going to be a little less pitchy than the Yamatake, but overall you can get a decent clacky sound from the switch. And my final thoughts on the HMX Snowfall is that it's a really nice switch. I'm very, very impressed with it. I actually really love the tactile bump on this thing. I think overall, compared to the Hydras, I prefer the Snowfalls over the Hydra. The Hydra was really nice and I really did like it, but I think in terms of like the whole tactile bump with the travel feel, the Snowfalls really has that nice crispness to it, and I really enjoy that a little bit more than the Hydras. Now, they're very similar. I think some people will like the Hydras more. I just personally like the Snowfalls a little bit more in terms of that feel because it just feels a little bit more crisp. I'll have the links in the description. You can go check out it for you guys yourselves at KTECHS, and of course, check out the other videos I got, and I'll catch you guys next time.